Yes.
Make sure everybody turns these on. Please. Welcome to Sugarland 4B Corporation meeting. This is Wednesday, July 20th. 4B Corp.
It was.
Title.
I've got mine on.
Okay.
Okay, so-
Share.
Well,
Okay.
You do that.
yeah.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, I think if you go over certain numbers, they're together.
All right, we'll try again. I'd like to call to order the Sugarland 4B Corporation meeting Wednesday, July 20th for 1 p.m. That was me,
That's you. You need the mic.
but I need the mic.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Talk, can you turn this? turn
This
it
one is
on?
working. Just call it forward.
Okay. We're called to order. Now, do we have the next slide? So citizens who desire to address city council, board, and commission with regard to matters on the agenda will be read and or received at this time. Are there any? Is there any?
Nobody signed up.
Okay, so we go to the next item on the agenda. Minutes, consideration of an action on the minutes of May 25th, 2022.
So moved. Second.
All right, we've got Director Kamali and Director Atkinson. Let's see, Director McCutcheon.
Aye.
Director Aye. Director Saunders.
Aye.
Aye.
And I. The motion carries unanimously. Next item is we're going to workshop item A, review of and discussion on the fiscal year 2022 third quarter report. Zora from the Economic Development Organization intern, welcome.
My name is Zora, and again, I'm an intern for the Office of Economic Development here. And one of my projects for the summer was to work on the Q3 report, so I'm very excited to be presenting that to you all today. I'm presenting this report in order to celebrate and inform you guys on the accomplishments of our department, because we believe in being a support system for our small businesses, activating our community through community and business engagement, and marketing our city beyond the region as a premier business location. So I'd like to first start off with the Bio International Convention, and that's going to be right in front of you. And we attended this convention along with the Greater Houston Partnership, where Sugarland was presented as a fast-growing life sciences hub. Sugarland also attended the Consultant Connect Convention, where we connected with key site consultants on why Sugarland is the perfect location to live, work, and play. We also strengthened relationships with our economic development peers. The Office of Economic Development also opened their second parklet here at the Kensington Plaza at Lakeside, and it's essentially an innovative space for community engagement, for businesses and our residents and visitors to enjoy. It's surrounded by a natural backdrop along with restaurants, and it's the perfect place for entertainment outside. The Office of Economic Development also worked with local artist Donkey Boy to unveil an intergalactic mural for the Sugarland Space Cowboys here at the First Colony Mall. Following along with our marketing efforts, DCI secured a media visit from NPR reporter Tom Wilmer, who is the host of the Journeys of Discovery podcast, and they crafted a custom itinerary aligning with the Office of Economic Development's key messaging points. And as a result of that, Wilmer has produced 3 podcasts highlighting Hope Biosciences, UH Sugarland, and Trementina. They're all Sugarland success stories, and I urge you guys all to listen on to those podcasts on why these businesses love Sugarland and why they're going to continue to grow here. Following along the Sugarland success story, DCI also developed an SEO-optimized Sugarland success story featuring Texas Instruments and why they love it here, including Sugarland's talent, its livability, and its economic development incentives. We're also proud to announce that our very own Alba Pinate Johnson was appointed to the Fort Bend ISD Career Technical Education's Advisory Board, where she'll provide insights on decision-making, student experience, curriculum development, and program direction. We're very confident she'll be a valuable asset to their team. Now, at the bottom of the Q3 report, we have some key economy data points I'd like you all to look at, including vacancy and occupancy. We have office, industrial, and retail. Office is currently at 17.7% after it's leveling off after reaching a peak during the pandemic. Industrial is at 4%, and it's seeing a good decline, as industrial and manufacturing are still in very high demand after the pandemic. And retail is currently at 5.9%, as it's seeing a good decline as consumers go back and want a face-to-face consumer experience. And because of feedback we received from the SLDC meeting, we'll be incorporating comparative vacancy rates and future quarterly reports. But for now, we have some vacancy rates compared to the Houston market, where we're lower in office and industrial, and we're consistent in retail compared to the Houston market. And in relation to hotel occupancy, we're currently at 63.9%, and we're seeing an uptick as we're entering the summer months. And with that, I'd like to say thank you for listening, and I'd like to take any questions you may have.
Any questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zora. The next item is review of and discussion on capital improvement programs funded by the corporation. Herrick Meyer. High tech. Duke.
So I'm just going to do a quick introduction for this item. So this is something different that we haven't usually done here at the 4B, but because we are in budget season, we thought it would be a good opportunity to bring back to you all some updates on some of the past CIP projects from this last fiscal year, maybe even the fiscal year before that. So you can get an update on some of those projects that 4B has provided some of the funding for, and see what has been done with those funds. So each of these individuals are going to give you a short update. If you have any questions, please let them know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are y'all doing?
Great.
My name's Rick Meyer, Assistant Director of Public Works, and we'll review. Oh, there it goes. Review the projects that we were able to fund through the CIP TR 2022-02 for landscape and hardscape, which is for improvements along US Highway 59, Highway 6, Eldridge, things of that nature. We identified 3 projects this year to spend that $200,000 on. 2 of those projects we have already completed, and 1 is currently in progress that will be completed here shortly within the next few weeks. The first project that we did was the Brazos River turnaround underneath the Great Woods side on the south side of 59. Is on the bottom left-hand picture. You can see they collected a lot of trash, and more importantly is because of the shade cover, it did not allow the grass to grow. We had a problem with vehicles going through there, rutting it up, and a maintenance standpoint. And so what we did is did a decorative concrete border around the bottom of it and put bull rock in there to clean it up and for aesthetic purposes also. The next project is right outside here at 59 Highway 6 going northbound, is with the expansion of the triple left turn lane going northbound on Highway 6, is they had to move the shoulder in, and so they had to put a retaining wall there, and that posed a problem with us as far as a maintenance perspective. In that strip, it's not wide enough to get a lawnmower, and then also the watering in that area. And so just from a maintenance perspective, we added the decorative brick along there, which adds an improved aesthetics and again, maintenance. Currently, we're spending, the third project is $45,000 that we're using to replace dead trees. We did have funding from other sources from freeze related, but what we've currently seen from the freeze that we had 2 years ago in conjunction with the drought that we're having is some of our vegetation is going through extreme conditions. And so we have seen an issue with some of our vegetation. So we're going through replacing those, and we'll be adding mulch a lot around the trees along Highway 59. And lastly, we have $29K remaining out of those. Once those 3 projects will be completed, we're identifying other projects right now, currently looking at possibilities at Highway 59 and 90. We do have crushed granite underneath that intersection. It's similar to the one where it's you have a lot of shaded areas in there. We're seeing the crushed granite run off in some debris collection down there, but is how can we improve that intersection? Possibly looking at adding some Highway 6 pavers in between the medians from Highway 59 area up to University Boulevard. There's some areas we're looking at, and then continuing possibly to roll over for Highway 59 and Highway 6. We have engineering plans currently with TxDOT for some hardscape improvements at that intersection where the right-hand turn lanes turn off of the feeder road, and there's a little triangle piece in between the actual feeder road and the cutoff that we're looking at improving that area. And those drawings are currently submitted to TxDOT. We're just waiting on plans back from them. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I realize we're in this drought condition.
Yes, ma'am.
However, when we put all of those other things, and I also know the Brazos River turnaround often floods.
Correct.
When you put that stuff in, does it help it? Does it hurt it? Does it not do anything any different than it already is?
As far as the bull rock and
Yeah.
and specifically
Mhm.
speaking Highway 59,
Mhm.
typically what we've seen in the past in Sugar Land is water getting up to that point has been very minimal over the last few years. There's been one or two cases that has. That is on the outside edge of the river on the what I would refer to as the taking side of the river that's the higher bank side. And so we tend to see more of the debris on the lower bank side than on the higher bank side. We have not obviously had, and hopefully do not see anything like that in the near future. But is, from my understanding in the past, that has not been a huge problem. But that's the main focus of that was to prevent vehicles from going in there, off-roading in a sense, going through the mud after the rains and destroying the integrity of the soil under there was the main deterrent for that.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Director McCutcheon.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there irrigation for the plantations that are being replaced?
Yes, ma'am. So we are going through currently and identifying all the areas that we have irrigation problems. We do have an on-staff irrigation tech that is going through and making repairs. So some of it is the landscaping has matured along 59 and is time to be replaced. The other part of that is, and again, is to our best of our knowledge, is because of the too harsh years that they've had, odd extremes, as part of that problem. So we're surviving that. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening, directors. I'm William Hygic. I'm Assistant Director for Sugar Land Parks and Recreation Department. I'm pleased to present a completed project, recently completed project that was partially funded by Sugar Land 4B, I believe back in September, August of last year. It's the Eagle Plaza Phase 2 project. The project is located at our wonderful, very popular Memorial Park. Right there where the red dot is showing, just across from the island, just near the lake, just down from the restrooms and the pavilion. So easy walk from the pavilion parking lot. Okay, the conceptual idea was an eagle sculpture on top of the hill, kind of overlooking the lake, pointed towards the wonderful memorial monument tilt wall and honor and remember flags. And so also we wanted to make sure we had some color, some landscaping, and some berms for people to sit down on, some raised concrete ledges and retaining walls for people to sit on. And so we started working on this plan. And back in 2020, Sugar Land Legacy Foundation helped raise in kind and monetary donations of $50,000 so we could install an bronze eagle. I actually picked it up from north of San Antonio area to save on some shipping costs. And me and my team actually got the pleasure of helping E-Read install it to save some money, and a plaque on top with some light landscaping around it and some crepe myrtles just behind it. And that was in 2020. And some uplighting as well was installed. And then fast forward about a year later, and through some more contributions, mostly a principal donation from Colonel Bahala and his wife, Conwall, and $20,000 from Sugarland Legacy, $27,690 from Sugarland Legacy Foundation, additional donations, and of course, $20,000 from Sugarland 4B, from y'all, thank you. We were able to get it out to bid and award Jordan Enterprises at City Council in September 2021 to proceed with plaza construction. And as you can see, we got right to work building the plaza. And as you can see in here, we're about halfway through the project. You can see we're on the flat work, the plaza area, the berm is being built, and you're kind of overlooking that island with that tilt wall. And so in March 2022, we were able to complete this project with Jordan Construction and finish the plaza. As you can see, we have some quotes on the raised walls, retaining walls that lead up to the Eagle, landscaping, sod was installed, some two berms, and irrigation. And it really turned out to be a really nice project. And the ribbon cutting was in 2022. A lot of fun. And you can see a little bit before kind of what it looked like walking away from the tilt wall. It was just a regular berm, kind of nothing really there to look at. And then you can, some DG trail going through it. A lot of people run in this area. And as you can see, it transformed pretty nicely to a plaza area that leads you up to the Eagle. And with that, I'd like to ask any clarifying questions.
I absolutely love the Eagle Plaza. Y'all did a fabulous job. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a fun project.
Any questions? Thank you. That's
Thank you.
great.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting used to it. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Fanning Du. I am the Parks Development Manager for Parks and Recreation Department. Today, I'm going to update you all on the Old Imperial Farm Cemetery Enhancement Project. Last September, our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Doug Brinkley, presented to you the project background, goals, and planning. Thank you for approving $150,000 to fund the cemetery preservation and enhancement. Since then, we have hired a specialist to provide a cemetery preservation plan. That's a very unique company in Texas. And then at the same time, we have been working on the conceptual design for the site improvements in-house. I'm going to walk you, this is a conceptual plan sketch. I'm going to walk you through the design a little bit. I guess I cannot point. So basically, this road is the Eastern Avenue. You drive along Eastern Avenue and then turn right to driveway. And then you come to a small parking lot with about 8 to 10 parking spaces. Then you will be able to walk to the cemetery. We try to preserve the integrity of the existing cemetery as much as we can. And also we're going to surround the cemetery with a decomposed granite plaza for seating, exhibition, small gathering, or even community events. Around the decomposed granite plaza, there's a circular promenade with tree canopies on both sides. These trees form a memorial tree grove to memorize the inmates who lost their lives because of the convict leasing or convict labor during those days. And then there are diagonal pathways. They point to some other historic sites in Sugarland, including the Central Union Plaza, north side of 98, the Sugarland Heritage Museum, the Sugarland 95 Memorial Site, and also the Houston Museum of Natural Science, which used to be a central unit, central prison unit as well. This one is a bird's eye view sketch illustrating the concept plan I just explained. On both sides of the cemetery, there are also walkways with the additional landscape, hardscape, signage, and probably art elements. They are the transition zones to prepare visitors to go from the parking to the preserved cemetery. The landscape concept can be a combination of Texas native ornamental grasses. They are beautiful, unique, and also provide a calming and a soothing atmosphere for the cemetery. They also, the native grasses are easy to maintain as well. So this concept is inspired by the sugarcane fields that the inmates experienced every day when they were hardworking at the prison farm. At the entrance and the walkways, there are also opportunities to provide additional landscaping, signage, and art elements to tell the history when people walk along the walkways. On the left are some art examples, but just some kind of inspirational. We have a consultant working on the public art plan, and hopefully we can carry that plan over to, go deeper with the public art elements. We have also worked on did some cost analysis based on the concept plan and also the funding available right now. We propose to have 4 phases for this project. The phase 1 is the yellow area, which is going to be the cemetery preservation and some professional services, including survey, archaeology studies, geotechnical report, and the consulting fees. The phase 1 will roughly be about $165,000. For phase 2, which is the red area, will include the driveway, parking, and concrete walkways. This phase will be about $434,000. Phase 3, which is the green area, will include the decomposed granite plaza around the cemetery, as well as the memorial tree grove. This phase will cost about $390,000. Phase 4 will be the additional landscape enhancement at the entrance, the landscape buffer between the parking and the cemetery, also the landscape enhancement along the walkways. So that phase will be about $177,000. These numbers are based on our experience and previous projects at the engineering department and also park department have had. So that's our best estimate. If we put the 4 phases together, it's going to be slightly more than $1 million. I just want to point out this does not include the public art elements. However, if we can do the multiple phases together, we will be able to save some money. With that, that's my short update on this project. We do have a lot more information, and I can provide, but today is a short update, and I'm ready to take any questions.
Any question, Director McCutcheon?
Yeah, it says 36 cathedral live oak trees. What does cathedral mean?
The cathedral live oak tree is a type of live oak species. This tree is more upright. I actually have to apologize for that label. I should have changed that because live oak tree actually is linked to some kind of hanging tree. So we were talking about change the type tree species. But the point of we're going to have the beautiful, maybe hopefully transplanted the beautiful trees as a way to honor the people who died.
Yeah, trees would be great, but Fort Bend County has some really large, beautiful trees. We've put some in the park and stuff. Would any of those lend themselves to be, or you still have to pay for transportation and planning? Would any of those beautiful trees lend themselves to this area?
Yeah, I think that when we get to, that's phase 3. When we get to further phases, we'll definitely look into the opportunities. And I do want to point out that we originally want the live oak trees, but live oak trees might have the connection with some kind of historic memory. So
Right,
we
yeah.
will,
I think they have a variety of trees there, I
Yeah,
think, but well, you
yeah.
probably know better than me, the kind of trees they got there.
It's mostly live oak.
Oh, it's mostly live oak. Okay, well, there, okay, great. Well, good. I appreciate the update. 'Cause I was driving by there just a few days ago and I was wondering where we were on this. So it was perfect timing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have all the phases been approved?
That was my next question.
Sorry. Have all of the phases been approved for funding already?
No, we only have the funding for phase one.
Okay, thank you.
So phase one was design or construction of that green area?
The phase one
Yellow.
will be the phase one will include, well, we did the concept design in-house, so that's free. Phase one will be the central preservation, including, we have the existing gravestones,
Mhm.
and there are some information, there are some stones missing, so we're going to put some pillow markers to specify the person's name and the birth and that year, and also maybe their present number. So that's part of the restoration, cemetery preservation. At the same time, we're going to use some of the funding to do the professional services such as survey, because in order to do the future phases, we have to have a survey, we have to make sure we have done the archaeology study, making sure whatever the area we disturb, we're clear, we don't discover anything surprising. And also we need do the geotechnical report. So the next phase, we need to restore the parking lot and walk sidewalk. We understand the construction details of those. In addition, we also need the construction, because we did the conceptual design in-house. However, from conceptual design to construction documentation, there's also design development and construction documentation in between. So those will need to be done before construction.
And they're still included in those phase costs,
Yeah,
those designs?
phase one cost.
Any other questions?
So will 4B be funding all 4 phases then?
I don't know, but Don,
I'll just chime in, Doug Brinkley, I'll chime in a little bit. We're looking for funding opportunities for the other phases. So we'll continue to identify funding become available. So we're looking at Legacy Foundation and other nonprofits to raise funds to actually offset some of those. Thank you.
Director Tom?
So I'm still confused. Phase one is what we approved already, right?
Yes,
for the
sir.
street. And that's what's gonna happen in the yellow. Correct?
Yes.
And when will that be completed?
right now we are doing kind of, we just finished the cost estimate, and then we are moving forward on the contract with the preservation specialist. I think the phase one will be completed either end of this year or the beginning of next year.
Yeah, you had mentioned that if we were to do all the phases together, that there could be some savings, right?
Mhm.
How much savings are we looking at, and should we consider going that route if it's possible?
Yeah, I do not know the exact number. When we did the cost estimate, you kind of analyze at different phases. However, when you do things together, you kind of save some mobilization fee. You save some time by like the phase one finished, and then you probably have to relook at the grading or to connect the decomposed granite with the sidewalk. So normally.
We don't have that number yet.
I don't have the exact number, but I think it's going to be probably roughly around 10% saving.
Would be about $100,000.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, the next item is review of and discussion on the cultural arts program updates. Patty Holly, cultural arts assistant, presenting.
I just want to take a minute to introduce Patty Holly. She was brought on last year to help us on culture arts projects. We have a lot of culture arts opportunities going on, and so we brought her on, and she has done a tremendous job for us, and just asked her to come over today to give you a quick update on some of the things that have happened and what's to come. So
Patty Holly.
Thanks. Okay, so as Elizabeth said, this presentation is to brief the board on 2 upcoming cultural arts CIP projects, as well as a final design and location update on phase 3 of our traffic box wraps. So in July 2021, the board approved our fiscal year 21 annual public art work plan and corresponding funding resolution for $460,000. So thank you for that. We have already seen several projects from this plan come into place, most recently Crush the Alligator, our sculpture bench at Lonnie Green Park. 2 of the other projects on the plan originally included a bridge enhancement project for $150,000 with Williams Trace as a proposed location, and a $30,000 sculpture with a location to be determined in the traffic boxes as well. So in March of this year, our cultural arts manager, Suzanne Gray, had to leave her position with the city. So during the interim, the division is being supported by me, cultural arts assistant. Since the cultural arts assistant position is currently part-time, we're proposing 2 projects to fulfill the bridge enhancement and the sculpture projects that require a lower threshold of staff coordination and external approvals. So the 2 project solutions that we have for that is an extension to Natural Rhythm, the existing Mosaic on Brook Street Bridge, and the sculpture to be placed at Fire Station 3 on Settlers Way Boulevard. So I'll start with those. The first is Natural Rhythm. This was installed this was created by local artist Katie Antill and installed in June 2021. And as you can see, it features plant and animal species local to the state of Texas. So since this project is an artwork expansion rather than a completely new artwork, that eliminates the need for us to go through an RFP process, allowing us to contact the artist directly. So this is what Katie Antill has provided for us. This is just a rough proposal. Once contracting is underway, she would submit something more detailed. But as you can see, the green areas on either side are what we would be looking at expanding. On the east wall where the full mosaic is, that would be roughly 55 feet on either side of new mosaic. And then on the west wall, 2 additional medallions on either side. Cultural Arts is also working directly with a local structural engineering firm to guarantee the structural capacities of the bridge as we prepare to, add this additional weight onto the structure as well. And our all-in artwork budget for this project would be $70,200. Okay, here's the timeline and a couple of notes about this. Cultural Arts has reached out directly to the project's original selection panel to review the artist's extension and approve, make sure everything looks continuous and like one completed artwork. Once contracting is underway and the artist's final design has been approved, the artist will then order tiles, which takes 6 weeks to receive, and then fabrication takes 4 to 6 months after that. So we're looking at a target completion in spring 2023 for this. The next would be the $30,000 sculpture. We propose to put this at Fire Station 3. I'm currently working with that same local engineering firm to determine the capacity for 2 potential sites at this location. One is the circled wall indicated at the photo at right. This would be a wall sculpture directly adhered to the brick. So I'm working to, again, determine those structural capacities for what that wall is. Our other option is a more traditional ground sculpture in front of the building. Since this is a city-owned facility, this also reduces the need for external approval since this is an internally owned building. I have a couple of artwork examples here of what we commission. We are really big in cultural arts about getting artwork that is unique to Sugar Land, something that you can't find anywhere else. So these artworks are not ultimately what we would see, but there are examples of artworks at fire stations around the country. So as you can see, these are examples of wall sculptures, some of which incorporate elements of fire and water or fire station tools. The one at the right was Seattle Fire Station 9. The artist was inspired by the logo of the Ever Ready battery logo, which is a cat with a lightning bolt tail jumping through the number 9. So you have the opportunity to get really specific to things unique to
our fire departments. And then these are examples of traditional ground sculptures, that are incorporated at fire stations around the country, some of which have interactive elements as well. Okay. A timeline for this, since this is a completely new artwork, we would go through an RFQ, RFP process, after which a selection committee of stakeholders, certainly some from fire, facilities, parks board, et cetera, would review those RFQs and invite 2 to 3 artists to submit a detailed design, after which fabrication can begin. So we're looking at a target completion of March 2023 for this. And again, our all-in artwork budget is $30,000. Okay, and then the last of which I wanted to give an update on our traffic box wraps. So this is our 3rd year of collaborating with the Sugar Land Cultural Arts Foundation to bring in vinyl traffic box wraps to the city. In January, artists were given the prompt to submit designs along the theme Sugar Land Looks Ahead. And after the selection committee reviewed all of our submissions, these 10 local artists were selected to create 13 designs. All of these artists are local to either Sugar Land or the greater Houston area. So these, oh, here we go. Let's back up. So these are the first of the 13 designs that were selected with the theme Sugar Land Looks Ahead. I will say the final proofs are still currently being fabricated. So these are the final designs that you're going to see, but if you notice a couple of spacing discrepancies here and there, those will be corrected in the weeks to come. So there's the first and the second of those 13 boxes. And I will say that this phase had the highest number of artist submissions across the 3 phases. So we're really proud of that. We had 63 applications, all from local artists. Okay, and then these are the locations selected for phase 3 wraps, represented by the dots in green. I'll come over here. These are going to be along Highway 6 from Austin Parkway down at this bottom green dot all the way up to Whole Lane. That top green dot is right by Cullinan Park, and they'll join our existing collection represented by the blue and red dots for those installed in 2018 and 2019. We'll have 40 traffic box wraps total. And oh, you can look for those to be installed next month. So we're very excited about it. Any questions for any of the 3 projects?
So going back to the Brook Street Bridge.
Can you unmute your mic? I'm sorry.
Unmute.
Oh, unmute, okay, sorry. It was the extension of that artwork, was that previously planned, or is this something we are adding to that bridge?
This is something that we're adding. So the original has blank spaces of concrete on either side. So this extension would take it to the end. After the original artwork was installed, we did actually receive a few comments of why isn't it extending to the end of the bridge? So this is actually going to give it a fuller.
That's the reason. Otherwise, I was thinking, would it be money well spent if we did another bridge enhancement for $70,000 and going back to the same bridge, which is already enhanced? So that's the reason I'm raising that question.
Yes, this was not a part of the original artwork. So.
Director Kamali? Director McCutcheon?
Yes, regarding the artwork for the fire station, so the artists can submit either and/or for the wall and/or the traditional sculptures, and then the panel will then just look at all the pieces, and then it'll just depend on, I guess, what their favorite is.
Right.
Which way we go.
And I think the deciding factor is also going to be the results of that structural engineering analysis. We want to make sure before we put anything on that wall that it obviously has the capacities to hold artwork. Anything that we ask the artist for that site, we would ask them to use lightweight materials and include the weight of their proposed sculpture in their application. And that would certainly be something that the selection committee would take into account.
Any other questions?
No, I commend the process. I commend the process that you've gone through. It's been very diligent and yet fairly quick on the timeline.
And real quick, shameless plug that upcoming in August, you'll be receiving an invite to come to a traffic box celebration reception where the artist will be there. We do it every year in conjunction with the Cultural Arts Foundation, and we would love to have you there to come mix and mingle and get to know the artist and just have a great opportunity to celebrate at the Visitor Center with the Cultural Arts Foundation, something we'll continue to do as we have the traffic box project. So
that'll be September 15th. So.
By the way,
yes.
those are really good eye catching.
Oh, great. Yes.
Very impressive.
On a high traffic road as well. So we're looking
Thank you.
forward to it. Thank
Very
you.
much.
Thank you. All right, the next item, review of and discussion of fiscal year 2022 projections and proposed fiscal year 2023 budget. Scott Butler presenting.
As represented by Devin. First.
So again, we're doing things a little bit different this year, trying to give you all a little bit more information about where these 4B dollars are going, what has happened, and what we are looking to do in the future. So I added a few slides to Scott's presentation. He graciously allowed me to add a few slides to the beginning. So I'm just going to start that up. Did I go? Oh, this clicker is what I had to use? Sorry. Is this an upgrade? Yeah. Okay, so quick, these are what we have outlined for our economic development department for our goals and priorities for fiscal year 23. So we are working on realigning resources to priorities. You may have heard about our all-in initiatives and the 2-year work plan. And so we are looking at our department and our organization of that department and how do we maybe make some adjustments to make sure that the resources are meeting those priorities as part of the 2-year work plan. We also are looking to continuing to usher in this new culture that we were talking about here in Sugar Land City Hall. And so asking those why questions, improving processes as we go along with every project or program that we take on. We are continuing to build our integrated marketing program, which is business development and tourism as one. That is our contract with DCI that you hear a lot about, as well as the excellent work that is done by Melissa Raju and her team. And so we are continuing to make that integration between tourism and business development in our marketing efforts. This is kind of some of my terminology, laying the groundwork, focus on creating the product to land the project. So we are running out of land in Sugar Land, and we recently, this kind of finishing up this year, but started last year in our workforce report, as well as the targeted industry analysis. So using those data sets, those tools that we have already done some studies and research, and how do we put those to work, and what is sort of the next step in that process and our strategy in order to, what is our real estate options, and what are the projects that we're going to be looking to land because of what we have available. We're actually going to have more on that in a future workshop to give you some more kind of market and real estate updates as well. And then I listed the all-in projects. These are like everybody in the department is involved in every single all-in project, but these are really the top priorities, either designated by city council or where economic development staff has the most involvement. So commercial redevelopment, residential reinvestment, in imperial site development, and small business support program. And then before Scott does his slides, a big part of our budget is the improvements that are being done to Constellation Field. So you'll remember that we approved that lease last year. It provided $10 million towards improvements at the stadium. That $10 million is being paid out over 5 years. So we've made the first 2 payments. A lot of the work has already been done, but you'll see that in the budget of where we are budgeting for the 3rd year payment. But I wanted to give you a little bit of an update of the improvements that have been completed this year if you haven't been out to see them. So this year was focused on the fan experience projects. So here's a quick list of Carbach Cantina with cornhole and picnic tables. This is the basketball court out in the kind of center field, left field area. That basketball court went away, and they've put in this, the Carbach Cantina area. That's been a great kind of fan experience opportunity. There are 2 kid zones that were redone or installed, the playground and splash pad redesign. And then as well along the first base breezeway, there is they call it Moonshot Alley, and this is a batting cage simulator for kids, and they have a lot of fun with that. There's also tons of new seating options throughout the stadium. There is also in the bullpen area, there's a patio. So you can sit and watch the pitchers get warmed up while you're enjoying your beverages and watching the game. And then the Regions Bank Club and the suites were refreshed, as well as a new team store. And I have a few other pictures to show as part of this as well. So there is the kid zone areas. You can see the batting cage simulator there. The picture on the left, this is what was formerly the Insperity Club, now is Regions Bank Club. So this is the bar area with kind of a really cool constellation type ceiling fixture with the lighting. And then on the right here is the Carbach Cantina area. And that's it. So I'll hand it over to Scott to talk about the rest of the budget.
Thanks, Devin. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. This is the next step in the process after reviewing the budget with the 4B budget subcommittee previously. And so these slides look familiar, but we're going to roll through them. So I'm sorry, we're going to touch on budget projections and the current budget for FY22. We'll talk about the FY23 budget. We'll talk about our forecast assumptions over the 5 years. And then there's some information regarding capital projects. First, we've talked quite a bit with council and with this group about sales tax performance in the current year. It's exceeded budget. That's going to benefit the 4B corporation to the tune of about, for the remainder of the fiscal year, we are discounting a little bit because of the current economic uncertainty as that continues to roll out. And so the numbers the actuals may be better than what we're projecting, but from a conservative standpoint, that's the approach that we've opted to take. So with that additional revenue, it's going to translate to a little bit over $1 million to benefit the corporation. On the expenditure side, we have some additional cost for bond disclosure fees. It's about $1,200, hardly noticeable, but we still want to acknowledge it. And then there is a reduction under incentives for the funding that's allocated for the First Colony Mall incentive. They were close to receiving it. And yet just missed the mark this year. But based on the results, I think we anticipate that they'll reach that going forward. So in terms of the summary, again, the additional sales tax is going to benefit the bottom line and some growth in the projection for the ending fund balance to $3.84 million. And we continue to be above our policy requirements. For FY23, we do have additional sales tax revenue built in. It could be higher, but again, because of that economic uncertainty, we're choosing to be a little bit more conservative. And then based on the preliminary assessed valuation numbers, we do anticipate that TERS 3 will reach that $400 million threshold value that will trigger the reimbursement of the city's contribution for the ballpark improvements. And so that's that additional revenue in terms of the reimbursement from TERS 3 of $7.82 million for this year. On the expenditure side, there's basically a little bit of a swap. There's an increase in reserve for opportunities of $2 million in the FY23 budget. On the capital side, the reduction is essentially the $2 million that was allocated for the Brazos River turnaround. It's anticipated that that project is going to be 100% funded by TxDOT. So reducing the planned contribution from the corporations, and especially while TxDOT still investigates and plans for what that turnaround eventually will look like. So as far as this summary goes, you can see that additional revenue, what that does to the ending fund balance, and we're projecting that we're approximately about $10 million above policy at the end of the year. As far as capital projects that are planned, we have the typical funding that's been provided for public arts, joint participation in CIP projects has been discussed earlier, as well as landscaping enhancements. There is planned for the relocation of the skate park from City Park to the festival site as part of the amenities associated with the pump track and some of those other things. It also includes funding in that to install the pickleball courts at City Park. And then there's also funding planned for an economic development suite renovation, both to improve the functionality of the suite for city staff, as well as make the space more open and inviting as far as their interaction with business clients and recruitment opportunities to make that space more functional and usable.
Which suite?
Yet to be determined.
So Constellation or Smart?
Oh, this is their office suite.
Oh.
They're in a very small space.
Okay.
And it's not very functional for the staff in terms of the work that they do. And so this will provide funding to make the suite, whatever avenue that takes, it'll make it a better situation. So, and then I think I'm going to turn it over to William to touch on a couple of or Joe for a couple of the projects that are planned for.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Chester. I'm the director of the Parks and Recreation Department, and this is a project we're really excited about in our department. One reason is that we think it'll be a great destination for skating in addition to the pump track that 4B's already funded. And just to update you on that, the contract's been awarded. The vendor that we're working with they travel all over the country building these. They're very specialized facilities. So they're working in another state right now, and then they're doing our final design right now, and then we'll be here in the fall to work on the pump track. And so we think it'd be a great destination spot for Sugar Land for active recreation. The adjacent Brazos River Park is already a destination for mountain biking. So it all works together, a lot of synergy with these activities. And what it does is it also allows us to, which button is it?
The bottom one.
Okay. So this also gives us the opportunity to address another need in the city, which is pickleball, it took off really with more like senior citizens, but it's expanded more. It's college kids. Almost everybody's playing it now. And we have some pickleball courts overlaid over the existing tennis courts, which has caused some sort of some conflicts with use because both of them are heavily used. So this gives us an opportunity to convert the skate pavilion, which is where the skate park is right now, to pickleball courts. And so these will be probably the only lighted and covered specific pickleball courts in the whole region. So it really addresses a need there. The skate park, we have had some complaints because of the noise generated. The skaters hit the hard concrete that echoes off the building. It kind of spreads to, you can see the houses just across the channel right there. So they do get some noise from that. So we see this as a really good opportunity to address a number of needs within the city. And with that, covers that.
Is that fenced in or not?
It is currently. The pavilion is fenced in, yes.
Okay, so then we'll get into just a summary of the long range assumptions from a forecast perspective for the fund. So on the sales tax side, we follow our financial management policy statements, which give us guidance for how we plan for that in terms of 3% growth. For TERS 1, the final payment for the debt issued for the Texas garage will end in FY25. So you'll see that debt service go down after FY25. We have increased the reserve for opportunities to $3 million per year. So there's a total of $15 million across the forecast in terms of reserve for opportunities. For incentives, it includes $5 million for the Constellation field improvements, as well as I mentioned the incentive at First Colony Mall. This is what that 5-year forecast looks like. And you can see that by those out years, in terms of year 5, the ending fund balance is around $11 million. And we meet all of our bond coverage ratio requirements and everything else. The good news is about this is that it provides some great resources in terms of the planning that Elizabeth and her team does to respond to economic development opportunities. So, just a quick note as far as the total 5-year CIP in the out years, the funding is allocated for those annual projects that the 4B participates in. And that's it. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Director McCutcheon.
So what's the minimum bond coverage rating that we like to see or policy says?
I believe it's, this is where I would typically rely on Justin to remind me what it has to be, but I believe that it's one.
I think it's 1.25.
1.25.
Because SLDC is much lower than the 4B. We have a lot more bond coverage
There's-
capacity here.
Yes. 1.25. If it's different, I'll let you know that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's hard to remember which one is, yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
The next item is the director's report. Elizabeth.
We actually took up the whole hour, so I'll make it quick. Just wanted to kind of continue to reiterate, we were fortunate enough to have Mr. Tom Wilmer of NPR. He does a podcast series called Journeys of Discovery. He came to Sugar Land and interviewed 10 different podcast episodes, everything from Constellation Field, Smart Financial, visiting with Pink Zebra, one of our major employers. He did some interview with the mayor, got some really great coverage. We're continuing to promote that on our social media channels and through emails, through our newsletters. So please listen. They're really short, but he did a phenomenal job. And if you don't already love Sugar Land, you will love it even more because you're going to continue to hear some great stuff from the people who live and work here and really help us sell our city. Between the 10 episodes, it's generated so far about 15.8 million media impressions and an ad equivalency of $163,000. And to date, DCI has found 139 unique links featuring Tom's Sugar Land coverage, recording a total of 154 primary and secondary results, with syndicating to more than 20 different podcast streaming websites. So we're getting a lot of really great coverage over it and continue to tell that story. So our LinkedIn platform also saw growth across all of its tracked metrics in the month of June, which include our followers, impressions, engagements, and engagement rate, logging 123% increase in total engagements and 108% increase in impressions, indicating that our content that we are publishing throughout the month is strongly resonating with our audiences. So I will continue to ask you, if you aren't already following us, please go out and find us on LinkedIn and Twitter. Follow us, help us share our messaging. We're currently promoting right now. We've got 3 positions, 2 are part-time and 1 is full-time. So if you know anyone looking for some good work and wants to come join our great department, we would love to have them apply. So that's all I've got. We will see you later.
Thank you. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.